So DanMachi took a week off, and they made us wait 7 days after a pretty crazy ending in the previous episode. You know, Belle snapping to, realizing, oh no, the Hestia Familia really is my family. Something big is gonna happen with that, right? And yeah, but not the way I expected. Two big things happened this episode, one of which was Freya having to confront the fact that the seer identity is as much her as any of the others that she's got going on, between Horn being linked to her, the seer identity in terms of everything that she thought was just pretend clearly was her truly falling in love, and now she's been conflicted ever since because Freya don't play like that. And Belle being forced to confront that love on top of Horn essentially sacrificing herself to get to that moment is insane enough. And then Hestia comes in, and if I think of what I think collectively the anime community looked at Hestia as in in season 1, she was a big titty goddess with not a lot going on. In season 5, she turns the entire damn capital into her familia for a brief moment and makes her temple. By spreading firewood that is infused with her blood, the virgin goddess is able to essentially, everyone that is being corrupted in this town by Freya's mind curse gets burned alive for a brief moment. Now granted, they're not having their skin melt off, but you can tell it's excruciating pain, and the way everyone is linked to her for a brief moment allows her to snap to and free, which is insane. Because Hestia was the only one to truly be immune because of her purity, right? Like, that's like the big thing about why Freya could never touch her. And the way she used that to free everyone is such a big brain move that you think, well, the season has to be over. I know we got like 6 episodes left, but where do you go with this? War game. War game. The opening's making a lot more sense. Of course, I have full live reactions over on Patreon if you want to see my full and good thought to any of this DanMachi insanity over there exclusively. So, wasn't sure what we were getting into this week. And to be honest, I don't even know what we're getting into in the following weeks. Honestly, Hestia's stuff was probably my favorite, because I've never overly been a Hestia enthusiast. Her character design's fun and her personality's fun, but I've never considered her the deepest of characters. And I'm not going to say like this episode massively changes my opinion, but I have to admit she had the best moment. Because I think it would have been very easy for DanMachi to go the route, well, Hestia is one of the main characters, she's, the purity's sake, she's the one who's not, tainted out of everyone. And yeah, she makes a little revolution and we kick Freya's ass and that's how we break the spell. Instead, way more interesting with it, because the idea of this world being gods and monsters and humans, the idea that the gods actually have this much power, not only to manipulate, mind control the masses, but also reverse it because of it. It's just, I like that rather than Hestia getting a random power up and just, magically doing something. No, like, we know the type of, the more people that follow, probably the more who believe, the stronger the god or goddess is going to be in terms of hierarchy and everything. So by using firewood, which, I mean, you need to do something, but the idea of infusing her blood with all that firewood and spreading it throughout the whole city, engulfing it, everyone who's, corrupted, basically, it's like you're purifying it. I guess it'd be the equivalent of if you had holy water and it's gonna burn the sins away. Like, that's kind of the way it was looking like. And the idea of her making her temple, even for a brief moment, to cure and purify everyone is such a cool moment. And I think is easily, without argument, her best and most interesting moment. I don't think many people are gonna really, argue with that fact. Like, that has to be her best moment to date. And despite her overall personality being exactly what you expect, because she's a consistent character, whether you love her or hate her, her personality gonna remain consistent. Her crashing down with Belle being like, just, the reunion was good. I mean, I'm saying this as someone who's not even really a Hestia lover. I just kind of accept her character, and I'm like, damn, she was the best part of this episode, which is saying a lot, because the Freya stuff was also insane, adding with the Horn stuff. So, Horn ends up freeing Belle, and also freeing Ryu, which causes a ruckus. And I'm thinking to myself, what in God's name are we doing? Because if she just wanted to kill Belle or something, I mean, she would have just snuck in and tried to do that, right? So the idea that, she's so and we've known this. We've known that she's been frustrated with Belle the same way Freya's been frustrated, because we know how they link and how they're essentially, despite them being two different people, their personalities are kind of blended together at this point, and they can swap places, right? The idea that you have Belle, who's a little confused, a little frazzled and dazzled, and her insult game was on point. Like, she was making a diss track on the fly, wanting Belle to recognize that, like, you have to realize something. And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is Belle supposed to realize? Like, I was pretty much as confused as Belle was. And when it's revealed about how, like, the Seer thing, you know, like, Seer, despite her playing pretend, wasn't as pretend as it ended up, there's a reason why she cried. There's a reason. And I mean, I've been saying it for weeks now. I was like, you know, you could tell Freya honestly genuinely loved Belle. As twisted as it was, there was actual love there. It's just, it's twisted in the form of a goddess. And when you have as many split personalities going on as Freya does, it's understandable when wires get crossed and love isn't shown maybe in the healthiest of ways, right? So the idea of what they ended up doing and her switching into the Seer persona, and then Belle, just, this whole episode felt like a movie is the best way to put it. Like, production-wise, it looked and functioned like previous episode, but it just felt like we were at the climax of a movie. Like, the whole damn time, I'm like, that's not where I expected this to go. And honestly, while season 4 is probably still going to end up as my favorite current season of DanMachi, I can't deny the fact that season 5 is running a very close second, and at points has made me feel like it's at the same level. And if you know how much I love season 4, that's very high compliments coming from me. This episode just, it felt fulfilling in a way that you're like, this feels like we might have one episode max left. There's no way they continue this arc, but they have to because this is seemingly an entire season for her arc. War game. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. Because the whole time I'm thinking, we're so close to Freya, because at this point, Freya has no more way, like, the whole public has rose against her. You strip them of their free will. You can't just slap her on the wrist and put her, like, do you kill her? Does she get light? What happens to a god or a goddess when they mess around and find out? Well, we're gonna go war game and she's gonna try to avoid it, but afterwards, when we most likely win, honestly, I don't see how she gets out of this one without a major demotion, power strip, something. But what a freaking episode. Definitely worth the wait. I mean, it's very rare that they'll make you wait a week and the episode's complete ass. But still, like, you can leave this episode probably feeling pretty damn fulfilled. Like, yeah, they could have made me wait 3 weeks, to be honest, and I would have been okay with that. Animation, voice acting, music, just on point, and damn. Thinking about how, like, simple and comfy the first few episodes of season 5 were, it's wild where, like, the next 6 went, because this shit be baffling. Your thoughts down below. How surprised were you by this episode? And if you're like me, who was just kind of okay with Hestia for the most part, did she surprise you as she did for me? Because, Jesus. Your thoughts down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, of course, ring that bell, and like I mentioned, we got those full live reactions over on Patreon, and hey, while over there, I'll also give you a video shout out. Alright, so today we got Fog Cruiser, Pensacola, Eternal Virtues, Antonio, Tony Keats, Ivan Bondare, Averio, and we also have Null Void. So I appreciate the support, everyone. Please take care, and y'all have a good one.